Hey guys, it's Lane Moore here. I hope everyone's having a great semester so far, and we're all hanging in there. We got like less than a month and we're done for the semester, so that's exciting. But yeah, I just wanted to take the time to kind of talk about what my lesson is, kind of what I got out of this project. So let's kind of start about with the lesson itself. So I teach United States history, so I went down that route whenever I decided what I was going to talk about. So this lesson set is going to be on US history, and it focuses on the Civil War, the stuff leading up to the Civil War and the Civil War itself. So kind of like how we get there, kind of what's going on the eve of the Civil War, and then the actual war itself, looking at some of the key battles, key people, some of the big documents that are going to be talked about, like the Emancipation Proclamation and the Gettysburg Address, but also looking at some of the battles, Antietam and Gettysburg, and some of the bigger, more significant things that are outlined in the Georgia State Standards. So this lesson set is going to be over the Civil War. So that's kind of the primary focus of what we're going to do. I broke my lesson set up into 4 days. The first day kind of covers the beginning, kind of what is happening on the eve of the Civil War. We look at economic disparity between the North and South. We kind of look at how the North is more set up in a better way to kind of be more prepared for the war. They kind of have an upper hand going into the war. So it's important that students can see the disparity on North and South. And that's actually what the first assessment covers, and that's actually the assessment that I chose to give for this lesson set. Was a informal assessment from the very beginning, but I really like this assessment because it makes students use primary sources. It makes them use graphs and tables to find some of the disparities between North and South, and they have to analyze those graphs, and they have to cite their evidence and write and do things that they might not normally do in a history class, which is why I really love this assignment, and I chose to make this the assessment for this lesson set. So that's going to be day one. Day two, we then go into the war itself. We'll talk about some of the key battles, some of the places. I have some discussions thrown in throughout where we'll be able to do group discussions, small group discussions, individual partner discussions, and we'll be able to kind of do some debates and talking in those ways. I didn't want to make it just, come in, lecture, assignment, lecture, assignment, lecture, assignment for the 4 days. I kind of wanted to break it up. So you'll see in the lesson set around day 3, we're going to do a peacemaking discussion circle, which my students really love. And it's a hands-on way to kind of check their understanding while also getting everyone to actively participate in the conversation. So you'll see that around day 3, I do believe. And then day 4 kind of works on wrapping it all up. We kind of look at the stuff leading towards the end of the war, how things have changed, kind of how people's opinions have changed as the war has continued. But yeah, it's very important that students understand the Civil War itself, because as this is a U.S. history class, if students don't understand the time period during the Civil War, then they're not going to fully be able to understand the history that comes on after that. So this lesson does a very good job of breaking up the Civil War into the key parts, from battles to people to documents, and then having a numerous amounts of assignments, from Edpuzzles and interactive notebooks and discussions to quizzes to Edpuzzles and all these different things to keep students engaged and to hopefully prepare them for the end of course test that will be coming later in May. Now, before I let you guys go, I kind of wanted to briefly talk about my 3 students. I'm just going to refer to them as Student 1, Student 2, Student 3. Student 1 is my high achieving student. Student 2 is kind of that middle of the road, CP, your average student. And then Student 3 is the student that has a special learning need of some kind. And the student that I chose for Student 3 is an ELL learner. So he is still trying to pick up on the English, which can be challenging. But we have put stuff into place, and I am here to help him in every single possible way that I can, especially when it comes to things like vocabulary. But we'll just kind of run down about students. Student 1 is a very high achieving student, always does great. The work is always top notch. Now, there are some things, and there were some things that I mentioned on their assessment, which you will be able to see whenever you look at my comments on the assessment. But student 1 does a great job. They're kind of that high student that's always cares about the grade, wants to do good, and they're there to please. Student 2 is kind of the average CP kid. Now, student number 2 that I chose is not a unintelligent kid. They're a very smart kid. The problem with student number 2 is he can sometimes be lazy. So whenever you go and you look at my stuff on my comments, you'll see that a big part of it was laziness. And I already kind of talked about Student 3. So I hope whoever watches my video, you really enjoy it. I hope you get something out of it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I know I've kind of been talking with my hands a lot, but yeah, reach out to me. We can talk about it, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you may have. I hope everyone has a good end to their semester, and I will see you all soon. See ya.